Welcome to a special Rugby Bits Ireland versus Springboks second test preview. As we've tried to get these previews out every Thursday for you guys. It's fantastic now because we have both of these sides have been released. Ireland released their side about half an hour ago, and yeah, just a fantastic build up from the first test, which is Springboks won 27-20. As we now go to Durban, or apparently winter is not a thing. I saw Murray Kinsler tweet this morning saying it's 28 degrees in Durban today, so winter's not a thing down there. But I'm joined by Sharky. And Sharky, I must say, first of all, how are you, bro? And yeah, it's been a quietish week in terms of the build-up compared to last week.
Yeah. Hi, my man. It's cold, bro. Like, I've had more, I don't know why I'm having toasted cheese sandwiches. I've had more toasted cheese sandwiches than Guy Fieri's had his whole life I've had this week. Like, it's been, I don't know why that's like my warm food, but anyway, it's kind of chillos. Durban's cracking. I actually read Murray Kinsella's tweet, like I read it twice. I was like, this doesn't seem right. Like, I know their winters are decent, but it's not that bad. Kooks, yes, it has been a quiet week, and I think I'll tell you why. I think it's because of the way we played and how quiet all the South Africans are. There's a lot of overconfidence happening. There's a lot of it's like a new era, like a whole new level. Like Russie's put another layer down, which we didn't think was coming. Well, I didn't. And now everyone's a little overconfident. I'll tell you one thing. I was quite comfortable this week when I saw that Irish side. I was brought back down to earth with a thud. So now we're going to go back to early morning nerves and worried about the games, which makes me happy.
Yeah, I must say, I mean, obviously last week was the anticipation, the sort of the build-up has come so long. And obviously you've had the first test. I think obviously now going into the second test, there's a lot of more like, sort of, okay, cool. Like we've seen what Ireland can do. Can they bounce back? I think obviously in the Irish camp, the big one was all those guys that were obviously potentially were going to be injured, and guys who had knocks, guys who didn't train. Obviously, we know Bandy Aki's not playing, but we'll go through the Irish team now. But Sharky, I think sort of the box unchanged 23. Not too surprised when he came through. I think maybe people thought we might see a Rose coming in, but to be honest with you, that was a potential, but I don't know about you, but I'm not at all surprised to see an unchanged side.
Yeah, me neither, but it is surprising in a way in that I think Jared put it out, it's the third time since Russie took over in 2018. So Russie and Jacques era, and now Russie again. It's the third time that we've done it. So it's only been done twice before. Yes, very interesting, but I agree with you in not surprising in that I think there was so much new shit happening. There was new tactics, new shapes, new this, new that. Guys a little bit rusty. There were quite a few guys that were rusty. Some got into it a little quicker than others. And I think this is basically Russie saying, we have a plan, and we historically have tried things in games and then fixed them and brought them out again. Not necessarily the next game, though. So I think this week was all about fixing those things, about securing our ball, a little bit more ball retention, because we lost a whole bunch of it. So you can't be completely wide all the time and have all your balls. So I'm interested to see what happens there. And when we get onto the Irish side, I'll give you a little bit of a theory of what I think might happen this week. But yeah, it's interesting. And I love it. That's one thing I will say is I think naming a completely unchanged side is I'm super happy about it. I think it's the right thing. Anyone that would have been dropped would have been ostracized and kicked out of the country by the fans. I think Over the Hill Prop made an unbelievable point the other day. He said Kwagga Smith is, so let's be honest, it was Kwagga Smith and Handré Pollard. Everyone was shitting their bed about them too. I think he said Kwagga Smith is the best player to have to hunt between Pieter-Steph du Toit and Siya Kolisi in this system that we have, which makes a lot of sense. You need a mobile 8. Like, you can't have a big lumpy 8 because that changes the dynamic. And the other is Handré Pollard. I thought, look, in the game, I already thought he had a poor game. Obviously, the missed kicks were on top of mind, a couple missed tackles. But then I watched it again, and I actually thought he didn't have the worst game. He nearly missed that kick to touch. Like, his game was interesting, but it's something that's going to get better. Like, I believe that we'll figure it out this week quite quickly. But yeah, unchanged and amazing, and I'm sorry for rattling on.
But Tony Brown mentioned it was with Handré Pollard that it's his first game in 2 months. So that's was my biggest thing is also like you can tell maybe it's getting the cobwebs out. Ideally, you'd have been great to play in the Wales game. Get like you can see a lot of guys like Peter Steff, the guys like Kwaka, guys like Jesse Creel, those looks the guys who started against Ireland who played the Welsh game, they were firing. They got those cobwebs out. I mean, with all the guys coming from Japan, they hadn't played rugby for a while. So now maybe someone like with Pollard as well, it's a tough one having not played in 2 months. I think Leicester did also miss out on the playoffs. So then it does linger on. He's been training for that week. So I do also think that like rust does play a factor with these Oaks. So with Pollard, so I'm not too concerned with Henry Pollard. I mean, having watched this, like watching the replay as well, you're like, there was some really nice touches and really nice ways. And I think what this does, it also frees him up in the way he plays. And you know, when we've seen Pollard, when Henry plays for Leicester, the freedom that he plays with, he's got more touches on the ball, it's more passing. I think this game plan is going to suit him a lot more in the way that he plays, and I do think the missed kicks for me, it's not a concern because we know how well he can kick. We saw it in the World Cup when he missed a kick, and so more for me it was a bit of rust, and some guys, some guys are a bit rusty, and I think he'll be a lot better this weekend having had that first game.
Yeah, I'll tell you interesting side notes. Like everyone wants Sasha to start and wanted him to play more in the opening test. I do. So there's two things. One, they obviously had a plan around Hunter Pollard. The other was if we lose that game due to missed kicks or an error, like who's it going to matter more to? No, not going to matter. It's going to matter big time both. But who will handle it better? Probably Andre Pollard. Like he's been through the wash already, so it doesn't really matter. So on that side of things, like just on the side, I thought that would be good. But the interesting thing for me, I really in the first watch, I really thought that Willie, like we're so used to Willie being the catalyst to all of this stuff, and now he wasn't. And I thought that he was a little bit out of position, not in a bad way, just kind of trying to catch up to this new game plan. There's obviously a lot more running and a lot more things to do, but he doesn't get to kind of like plan because he's a chess grandmaster. Like he's planned things 2 phases before and then he strikes. But now we were doing everything almost first phase. So I don't think he had a bad game. Interesting enough, he obviously forget the nines, second highest passing in the Springboks behind 100 Pollard. So he was obviously a lot more involved than I kind of remember. But I just remember a couple times, perhaps it's those bad passes that because he was rushing those passes. There was one that was a shocker. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. The other thing that I want to mention, but I also want people to watch, is I know that Pieter-Steph du Toit and Siya Kolisi were playing in the trams, but it almost felt like every single time Pieter-Steph du Toit was running down his wing, Siya Kolisi was with him. I'd love to know what Kolisi's numbers were in that game because he almost looked like he was everywhere.
No, he was. I mean, just seeing him again with the ball in hand was also fantastic. I think is a big crowd from fans is wanting to see Siya obviously carrying the ball, and we know what a fantastic ball carrier is. Obviously, I mean, the work he's done in the 6 jersey, his rucking ability, what he does, the hard yards is putting the craft he puts is obviously the balance he's given the box in that position has been fantastic. But it's also fantastic to see him because he came through as a big carrying number 7, sort of as a flanker. That was his trade. His ball carrying was what was his biggest trait. So now see him go back there and some of his carries out wide, especially out wide, because then now the mismatches he's getting, and I mean, poor Henshaw, but the mismatches he's getting there, and also his skills are fantastic. I mean, that pass to put Kirtley away for that first try, I mean, is fantastic. I mean, that's a proper catch pass, defender rushing, you catch, boom, get the ball out there. So I mean, that's what we're seeing from there. And Pieter-Steph also showed his skill set. The number of times he got the ball out wide. I mean, I know my two favorite plays of that game was obviously what the Irish front row did for that Murray try, fantastic. But also Pieter-Steph's ability when he put Colby away for that break, where he got the ball, sort of was able to, because Osborne kept dropping back, and Pieter-Steph had the ball in hands, found a way to suck in 2 defenders, gets the offload through, Colby goes through. It's subtle piece of skill that I love, especially when the forwards get it right. And it was just beautiful to watch.
On Siya Kolisi, he is probably, it's really hard to be the best at this, but I think he's probably the most efficient and best at running next to a ball carrier where he's taking opposition out. He's always running just slightly behind the ball carrier, which obviously makes sense, but he's always ushering a defender somewhere. Like someone has to run through Khaleesi to get the baseline to get to a ball runner, which is great. The other thing which is amazing about him, he very seldom dies with the ball. If he does take the ball into contact, he gets like 1 or 2 post-contact meters, but he is incredible at the draw and pass. He will always take 1 or 2 players, more likely 2 players out of the game, like whether it's with a pass or with a carry. He's very. It's changed a lot, as you mentioned. Like when he started, he kind of started as a 6.5 because remember when he was in the mix, like everyone was like, well, we can't play him blimp side and we can't play him open side. So like there was talk of putting him to 8 and all that, but he's fit into his role incredibly well. And I mean, he dominated on Saturday. Dominated.
It was very good. But also news that came out of the Springbok camp this week before we took at the Irish team is a few players got released, obviously, to go play Currie Cup. Some of the guys who aren't be involved this weekend. So Trevor Nyakane, Magazolo Mapimpi, Edward van der Merwe, Andre Stuyven, Lucanio Aprele Fassi, Jan Hendrik Wessels, Pepsi Buthelezi, and Morne van der Berg all got released to go play for their provinces this weekend. So, Shoki, what do you make of that?
I think it's a great move. Something like we've seen the Kiwis probably do that the most. You always see guys playing a bit of club rugby during the international period, but Rusty came out straight away and he's like, we need to get that rust off the players. Spoke about it last week in the test match. Now there's guys that haven't played for a while that have been just in camp. So this is a great one. The Sharks have basically selected everyone. I'm very interested to know if Lucanio's injured or not, because I think he probably is still. Is he named?
No, so he wasn't named in the Shark side.
Yes, no, yeah. So I think maybe he might be picked up a little bit of a niggle, or they're managing him somehow. But yeah, I reckon 90% of those guys are starting against Portugal next week. And kind of like it would make sense. So yeah, very, very interesting. But I'm all for it. I have no problem with it.
I must say, I'm the same. I think obviously in the Sharks, as a Sharks fan, I would be thrilled. I mean, to have Trevor Nyakane. It's great to see Andre. It's gonna be great to see Andre Estes back in a Sharks jersey this weekend. Obviously, having left to go to Harlequins, but as a Sharks, you get Pepsi back, Fassi's back as well. So that's a big bolster for them. I haven't gone down to the Lions last week, but it is also great in the Currie Cup to see Boks playing again. I mean, back in the old days, where guys to get released and guys who weren't playing the Boks can play Currie Cup. So it's going to be great for the competition. More eyes on the competition. Obviously, if you see a Edo's playing, and one of the Berg's playing, you're going to want to watch. You're going to want to see how these guys go, because I do think, Sharky, with this unchanged team and these guys being released, it is an eye to the Portugal game, because maybe quite a few of the guys, maybe the starters this week might not play against Portugal, or maybe 1 or 2 of them might play. So if going unchanged, it does know that there's guys like next week, a Mani Lapok, a Trevor Nyakane, a Thomas Tutoy. Those are the guys, these guys who are not named yet, those are the guys they could look in and playing as a Portugal, and a lot of them would be great for them to get a hit out, like a Trevor Nyakane, for example. Great for him to get a hit out. Jan Hendrik Wessel hasn't played for a while. I know Fassi played against Wales, Van der Merwe playing against Wales, but Morne van der Berg, as well, he hasn't played since URC. So it's going to be great for some of those guys to get hit up, because some of them have been carrying bags for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there were 15 changes in the starting lineup next week. Like, that doesn't faze me. This, for me, Ireland is about really beating Ireland, I think, first and foremost. And then after that, obviously now we found out he's working on this new game plan. And then give the guys a rest, because then I think it's 3 weeks until the rugby championship, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So we've got to give the Oaks a little bit of a break. But Portugal is going to be amazing. We're going to get a whole bunch of guys that are going to be capped for the first time. We're going to see new combinations, new things, and it's all about the guys doing what they need to do, what they need to do according to Rassi and the rest of the coaching staff, how they need to manage the game, because we find so much when a team gets put together that is not used to it, the cohesion goes out. But when you have a very, very talented side against a Portuguese side, with the greatest of respect to them, guys do tend to want to go on their own and score 4 or 5 tries and say, look how well I did, but if they don't stick within the game plan. So if it's done well and properly, we've got a massive win. But those guys are all going to get a hit out this weekend. Well, not all of them. I'm very interested to see why I see Masuku wasn't released. I think that's pretty cool. I quite like that. Actually, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's something that they want to keep him in camp to do what he needs to do. So that's quite exciting. But yeah, happy days.
Happy days. But Ireland name their side, a very strong side as well. A side that have got a few changes. We see Kelly Hill starting in for Dan Sheehan at hooker. James Ryan comes in and Ty Burns shifts to his flank with Peter O'Mahony on the bench. And then Conor Murray comes in for an injured Craig Casey. Henshaw comes in for Henshaw shifts to 12 for Aki. And then on the bench, we see Rob Herring coming in, old SA boy. And then Stafford's abroad, and then is it Roy? Is Blade comes in? Yeah, sorry.
Blade and McCloskey.
Blade and Stuart McCloskey comes in on the bench for the backs. But on the surface of a Sharky, it's still a very, very good side. I think you look at the Irish side, I think especially up front, I think they could have gone a little stronger. They're looking stronger, looking beefier. I thought James Ryan was very, very good off the bench last week and deserving of a start. And yeah, I mean, Tyburn is an exceptional player, so he moved to 6. So I think obviously they've got an extra line option, a better line option, and also just a bit more grunt. Not that Peter Moyne doesn't obviously offer the grunt, but losing Aki is a tough one. But Henshaw's had a very good season when he's played 12 or 13. Murray's a good replacement. I mean, that's what, over 100 test caps coming in at 9. So yeah, you look at those changes, Chalky. I mean, it's still a very, very, very good outfit.
The thing to this afternoon that really put them on notice for me was Burn to the flank and Ryan starting. That's really big. That's going to change the way that they play and what they do. I don't think that they are naming the side to match what we are bringing. They are naming the side because they're going to try and impose a different game plan, maybe slightly different, or maybe impose their game plan a little bit better or a little earlier, I think is probably the more accurate way of saying it. So that was a big one for me. Burn is an absolute menace. He's so good. That's such a great move. Caelan Doris taking the captain's armband as well is quite interesting, especially after what happened last week. So it should be fun to see what's going on there. In midfield, that's very interesting. So essentially, out of the 3 centers that played for Ireland in the opening test, Gary Ringrose was the best defender and Henshaw was the best attacker, just by the numbers. But so barring Sheehan and Casey, the whole squad trained a couple of days ago. So it almost looked like they were all fit. I know a couple of guys are picking up niggles. So I'm very interested to know. I think Aki has to be injured. I don't see a world where you don't have him in your 23. And I don't think he was terrible on Saturday. Like he was just basically stuck defending the whole time almost. It looked like that. But yeah, very interesting to see how they manage this because Henshaw's been cooking, but mostly at 13 in this current form. If memory serves, I could be wrong. But having 2 centers with a 13 mentality is going to be quite interesting because they're going to have to be setting their platform somewhere. It's not going to come from Crowley. So like they're going to have to be doing something. I think that's probably one of they would have moved Burn there to the side of the flank anyway. I think it's the right move, but it could be something that would have helped that center decision. But it could be fun. Like this midfield with what we did on Saturday, the Irish midfield has the opportunity to do really well, or I think do kind of badly. Like that's how it looks for me. I don't know how to explain it, but they could have a shit good game or they could have a shit bad game.
Yeah, it's interesting for me, Sharky. I look at I think, you look at the game last week, I think Ireland are probably a lot more direct than they normally are. I mean, a lot of players of 9, a lot of carries, obviously. I think for them, their accuracy is probably something they were frustrated with. Especially, I mean, if you're going to this week, I mean, there's a lot of soft little knock-ons and soft moments, especially 5 minutes out. I mean, there's been a lot of time. There's been about 22. So I think now with someone like a James Ryan that does show that up. It does show up. Someone like a Tyburn, a bit more freedom, obviously, a bit more on the flank, and also their line-out sort of became a little bit wonky at the end there. So I think when you're adding a James Ryan, James Ryan was a fantastic line-out caller. And then you got a Tyburn as well. So the lineup functions a little bit better as well. Almost Tyburn is almost like for like trying to match Peter Toy in that flank lock / flanker role. So I'm expecting Ireland to be a little bit more, probably even more direct, but I think obviously for them it's just to be a little bit more accurate. I think in the back line is going to be an interesting battle. I think with Conor Murray, they do get one of the best box kickers. I mean, to have played the game, fantastic box. So I think there'll be a lot more bombs, and we saw they got good success with those kicks through Craig Casey, and we saw he was able to turn the box out. Every mistake, boom, Casey was sending them down. But now you're getting an even better box kicker than Casey and Conor Murray. So that at least with Casey gone, that does put the emphasis on Conor Murray. Won't be surprised to see Conor Murray going 70, 75 minutes this week. I know Blade is an exciting prospect, it has had a good season as well, but can't see him sort of say coming on in the 60th minute, for example, unless Conor Murray has a shit one. I think if the game is close, it can be one of those old school Ireland games where Conor Murray is going 70, 75 minutes because of his kicking game and obviously and command in the park. I think it's going to be great for Crowley as well to have that experience on his inside as well in a Conor Murray. And I think Henshaw, the nice thing with Henshaw and with the McCloskey is that they have a plan B. If I know Henshaw is a very physical center, but they've got a plan B if, for example, they need to even beef it up even more by throwing a Stuart McCloskey in us. I think it's someone where I was having this chat with a friend of mine. I think in Ireland at the moment, and look at the side, you can see where their depths come from. Their depth issues are prop. Prop is a big problem for them if they lose a prop. But you look at lock, flank, lock, Lucy's, 9, 10. 10 is a tough one if they lose Crowley. Because they don't have another out-and-out 10. Froley's sort of plays everywhere. So 10 is a bit of a problem. And then you've got, all the Burns are basically sitting at home watching the game. But center is stacked. They are stacked at center.
Crowley can even play 12.
Yeah, 100%. So they're stacked at center. So yes, losing IQ's top 3 inside center in the world, but they do have the cover. Maybe they can't make maybe yes, what you lose in Aki, a Henshaw and a McCloskey can give you what Aki gives you in 80 minutes. They can in Moneyball, he can credit in the averages. That's where a Henshaw and McCloskey can replace a Bandi Aki. I mean, if you watch Moneyball, fantastic movie. Then you obviously have a Ringrose coming back in, who's obviously fantastic. But so I'm glad they gave Osborne another chance at 15. I thought he was very solid, especially under the high ball. So shocking in the face of it. It's a good start. And saying that losing Aki is it just shows the depth they've been able to sort of create over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think the South Africans have been talking about Osborne as much as they should have. I thought he was incredible. Him and Doris were great in the opening test. What's interesting about this is you almost got to kind of match up who needs to prove a point, because the entire probably starting 15 for the Springboks need to prove a point, and not because they had a bad game, because they want to right those wrongs. Like this looks like they want to be 14 points up in 10 minutes. This is the kind of vibes I'm getting out of it. And the other thing, if you look at Ireland, like there's a lot of guys that need to prove themselves. Like Peter Mahoney off the bench, like he's a freaking menace. Normally, him coming off the bench being angry, he's going to be another baby altogether.
But Ryan Baird has been fantastic at the bench. Was fantastic
so good
as well. James Ryan off the bench last week was because I there's a part of me I thought that Baird might sneak himself in, as in basically Omani straight out, and Baird comes in at 6. That's what I was thinking as well. Him or Ryan, because Ryan and Baird were fantastic off the bench last week.
Yeah, I think Baird probably it's the fact that he's one of the fastest players in the team keeps him on the bench for now. Like you want to have a Lucy that's got that gas. But yeah, I think like Kalen Doris wants to prove a point this week. Not that he didn't have a good game, but he wants to change up the way that the perception is around him from the referees. Like Joe McCarthy, he's got a point to prove. You know, he's come here as wanting to stake the claim as one of the best 4s in the world, and is up against Eben. And so we're in for a good one, a really, really good one. It's going to be epic. Like the head-to-head battles are going to be great. I think the Springboks will take the same plan at scrum time to Ireland. Obviously, everyone's aware that Ireland don't take the hits. So there's going to be ways of Ireland having to fix that and try and not be in the spotlight, but try and have the same outcome. And South Africa are going to have the same way to fix it if they do it. So that's going to be fun. I think the second half props are going to be huge. Again, I feel the Springboks are going to probably in the beginning look for a bit of parity and then try and smoke them one or two, just change the perception and bring on the new props, and the new props will hit it hard. Like that's the reality, and that's yellow card city for Ireland, because I think Bongi Vanami seems angry, bro. Like when he gets angry, man, he wants to rub your face in the fact that he can do it better than you, and we have one of those opportunities this weekend, so it could be fun.
Before we took tactics, Shockey, it's Andy Farrell's 50th game in charge this weekend. 39 wins out of 49 tests, 80% record. I mean, that's an incredible record. But yeah, so congrats to Andy Farrell. And looking at the Springboks, Shockey, tactics-wise, obviously last week we saw a big shift in how we play. I think Tony Brown was mentioned more times this week than he has probably his entire career by South Africans. And we've all loved it. I mean, we love the intent. So the way that we saw that, I mean, Cody Arnis's first trial was incredible. Do you think we'll see more of that? Do you think it'll be trying to sharpen up the areas we got wrong? Sort of you know, like just a ball retention at times wasn't too great. Those times maybe caught ourselves being a little bit too lateral. So do you think this week it's going to be trying to sharpen up those things, or do you think there'll be maybe, I know we're possible over 170 times last weekend, maybe do you think we'll see something like where we go maybe 120 passes, kick a little bit more and be more and carry a bit more?
Yeah, this conversation has been a proper battle in my brain about what's going to happen. Like I'm a little bit conservative in that I don't see them like coming out how they did so much, so hard, and for so long. One of the reasons being, I think, you know, we didn't get 100% right, but as I said earlier, I think we'll get it better. But the other reason is Ireland will be ready for it. That was a surprise attack that they weren't ready for. We were the only ones that knew what was happening. The other thing is, I think about how well it did for us, what it did for the fans and the crowd. Like, so why not come out? We've got the recipe right. We've just got to tinker a little bit with a little bit less of the sugar and spice, or maybe a little bit more here and there. You know, that's the little things that need to get changed. I look at that way that we played, and it doesn't look sustainable to me. But that's me. That's because what I'm so used to, what I have seen do so well for us in 2019, in that World Cup, in the Lions tour, in the next World Cup. But we've been seeing glimpses of it, and not even the All Blacks of back in the day ran it all the time. The All Blacks back then were top class defenders. It was almost like they were defending for work, and the attacking ball they earned off it was the reward in the play. And then they just hit it hard. So I do think that we'll find some balance. Will we do it now? I don't know. However, I totally have confidence that if we go out and hit it, and we all of a sudden concede a try, it was like, okay, cool. Remember what we said we were going to do? Everyone just settles back down. Like, we have game plans that we can change in between. And I think that's the end goal. I thought last 2023 was the end goal in terms of layers, but I think the end goal is being able to change the plan in the game. So everyone becomes so comfortable with what they're doing and how they're playing, and they know how the opposition reacts to it, that when they see there's a weakness, that are cool, this is what we need to do. And then for 10 minutes, we see them flinging the ball around, or then they settle down and scrum it and box kick. You know, that's where I see us going. But shit, man, if we put 40 minutes together like we did in the opening against Loftus, at Loftus, and then we kind of have that a little bit better for another 15 minutes in that second half, and then bring on the bench and scrum them to death. Like, honestly, and it's no disrespect, but I honestly see us winning by 20 points, like, which should be huge. I'm just saying, like, if everything goes in the way, we've got that chance. But I'm loving what's happening, and I'm loving the fact that nobody really knows what's coming.
I think the interesting thing, Sharky, is if you look at last weekend, was I just don't think, obviously, for the next 4 years, we're going to pass the ball 170 odd times in a rugby game. I think, obviously, it's got to find a balance in between being able to sort of have the 120, sort of being around there, maybe to 100. And I do think that our next evolution is be able to play like this. I do think because of the front foot ball that we are able to generate, we're still the best scrumming side. We still got the best line. So we're still getting the proper front foot ball. We still got the crunch. We still got guys that carry. Well, what it does now is that we're allowing guys like David Delaney to show off his passing. We're allowing guys. My biggest thing about this is we're allowing the ball to get to a Curtly Orense and a Cheslin Colby in space. If Curly Orange is touching the ball 10 times a game, he's going to make something happen 8 times out of 10, or even more than that. Like, he's going to make something happen. Now we can be in a position, we see our wings getting over 100 meters carrying. Jesse Creel looked fantastic on the weekend, 155 meters running that on the Instagram page and the SS stat. That's what you want. I mean, he's looks like a massive threat in that space. You've got then you're surrounding them by playmakers, which I love. Is you've got 100 as sort of a bit of a playmaker, and you've got Damian Dillon as a playmaker. You've got Veli as the ultimate playmaker. So you got all these guys, and you got all these runners just next to them, like all these oaks around them, like Cheslin, Kirtley, and Jesse. You three can cause havoc. We'll just let Damian, Andre, Veli, we'll take care of the rest. And almost in Dylan, you can almost throw him as a basher as well. So I do think our next evolution will be there. I think, like, when I think of it a lot, Sharky, I think of, like, I always like to think of the All Blacks between 2011, 2015, and I can compare them because obviously, I mean, they were back-to-back champions. Do you remember the All Blacks, I think, pre-2011, when they made that shift, when they almost decided, like, listen, we can't just throw the ball around every time. We've got to also be direct. And they started doing that, putting like a fullback at a wing to be ground on the high ball. But then they won the World Cup 2011. Then between 2012 and 2015, they almost fine-tuned their game plan where there were times where almost like, guys, today we're going to win this game by being direct. We're not going to win this game by throwing the ball around. We're going to win this game. We're going to kick better. Mononu, you have to learn how to kick. Add more strings to your bow. We're going to have a good bench. So where the Springboks now almost the opposite of that, where they have, we've got the foundation, we've got the scrum, we've got the kicking game. Now we need to keep adding on layers on attack. So if there's times for us to run teams off their feet, or we get caught up in a shootout, we've got players and we've got a plan to do it. Or, hey, as we're playing Dunedin, sorry, there's a roof now. We're playing Eden Park. It's raining in New Zealand. We need to actually front up. Boom, we got a game plan to win. We got a game plan. There's a way we can play to win there. So I just think that's the next evolution. And also, like, I do love the fact, like, what Tony Brown is bringing, and unfortunately, is bringing another element to attack. And it's going to be frustrating initially. There will be games where we go, geez, Oaks, 150 passes. Like, can we just bash them? Geez, Oaks, another pass out. Unfortunately, that's what attack is. Attack is the most frustrating thing at the beginning when you're trying to put it together, and it takes sort of time. And I do think by the time we go to the All Blacks Rugby Championship, end of year tour, we're going to be really cooking because of the time we spent in the saddle with this new shape.
Yeah, we've, like, attack coaches and defense coaches are one and the same. Like, you know, you always trying to manage their attack because you need to watch what their defense is doing. So they kind of have an idea what's cracking.
They always want extra time. And they always want extra time. Like, come on, the defense goes like, right, but we can't attack yet. So let's focus more on defense because we can't really attack yet. Like, let's just do the ins and outs and just flip and defend. But now, like, Tony Brown would go like, Rassi, bro, we can defend. Like, we've got the pot down. Let's just spend a little more on attack. Well, I know
tell you what's happened.
I know Jerry needs some time, but Jacques was there for 5 years, bro. Like, just give me some time.
Yeah, totally what happened. And now this week would have been even more fun because he's got a little bit of clout behind him. I had a look at the 2015 World Cup final. The All Blacks passed it 151 times. So
Australia, Sharky.
Yeah, I know.
The All Blacks could run a bed and beat Australia. They could actually. The All Blacks could actually probably. No, I'm joking. Let me not. No, okay, Australia. Sorry.
Not yet. Wait until after the Rugby Championship.
I was starting. I got you triggered me by saying Australia. Sorry, Joe Schmidt. Sorry. My bad.
Made it in, but. You know what I was just thinking about? What you talk about, like how we're attacking and the options we've got and giving Kirtley Arendse space and Ches and Colby space. Legend, Ches and Colby. But I don't know why it hasn't been done before, that you've had flanks on both wings. Obviously, you know, they don't have the legs on them. But having guys there, so we've got both Sia Khaleesi and Pieter-Steph du Toit incredible at clearing rucks and managing the breakdown. But they also, I didn't see it in Pieter-Steph du Toit beforehand because we didn't really need to know about it, but he's got good distribution skills. They kind of gave him like free rein, like all flows. So he was teaching Achia how to do things all over again. But the thing is we've got like those two attackers, like we've got a big ball carrier if need be, and we've got absolute wheels. And both Ches and Colby and Kirtley Arendse are incredible at committing to the breakdown and managing the breakdown too, out wide. So like it's a match made in heaven. I didn't think we would see someone Peter Steph Toy's size and frame doing that.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. Like we could totally do that with Marco van Staden and Siya Kolisi. Like you can totally see that happening, or Kwaka in the mix. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, I don't know what we're gonna bring. I don't think we're gonna run all out like we did at Loftus. That's what I don't think we will do. I think if we receive the kickoff, we to start the game, I think we're going to go hard and see if we can crack them after 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If we don't receive the kickoff, I'm interested to see how we manage it. So happy days.
That's gonna be interesting. But now let's look at Ireland, Sharky. If you Ireland this week, it's a funny old one, right? Because I mean, obviously, test rugby is a game of fine margins. The James Lowe strike is disallowed. The James Lowe mistake where he tries to obviously 100 was a touch, tries to put it back. The Colby try, right? That changed the game. The James Sasha tries to get back in the game. Sasha kicks it deep. James Lowe obviously makes a cock up in his own try line to scrum. They get drilled. It's a different game. So if you're Ireland, for example, you're sitting there, you're going, there's three factors of this game three big factors here where that changed the game, right? So they'll know, like, it's as much as 27-20, there's still a lot in that game. But they got punished with the Springboks got a sniff, they were accurate, took their chances. Ireland, 6 minutes in the box 22, didn't take their chances. So now, if you're Andy Farrell, Shocky, are you going, okay, more the same? Yes, we'll probably be as direct. Yes, look just to do the same as last week, but this time we just have to be more clinical. Or do you think they will look to maybe say spread the box a little bit more? Not that they start, but maybe look to spread the ball a bit more, give the ball some more air. What are you thinking if you're in the Irish camp? Are you more the same and just hoping to be more accurate, or try to tinker things up?
No, I think more of the same. Like if we're honest with ourselves, that was a close game. And like you talk about people that have appointed proof, James Lowe is one of them. He had the most incredibly shit good game I've ever seen. Like he was excellent, and then he was horsecock. Like so, the game was close. It really was close. I think we're all still stuck in the first half. Like we're just wowed by what happened and how we scored in 2.5 minutes, and we were 10-0 up, I think, or 10-3. Like we were like, oh no, we got this. But it was 20 all, and we got a penalty try, and we won 27-20. By no means a walkover. So I think it'll be more of the same. I'm trying to think if Ireland have ever really trained for a side that can just totally run you off your feet. That's really good. Like the sides that want to run you off your feet that just can't do it. Like Italy were up and down. They're enjoying it now, but. So it's interesting. I think they'll obviously change up and have a look at the new approach by the Springboks. Rusty has shown his hand, but he knows that that's like he's shown a card in his hand. He knows that that's not the whole hand. Like that's what I'm looking forward to. So I think it'll be more of the same, more about focusing and getting that noise out of your head from the fans and from the people and from everything, because it was a close game and everyone knows it deep down. The Springboks aren't everyone.
Yeah, I think it's such a weird one. I think obviously the big one for Ireland, I mean, I know Andy Farrell spoke about in his press conference that they were quite flat in that first half. They came out flat, and it's something that he said there was a few wise words being thrown around at halftime. And I think obviously you can see the way they came back out. But I think obviously that's the biggest thing with Ireland now, is that they probably won't be as caught off guard as they were early with the box sort of going wide. It was so quickly where you could see like, oh, probably like, oh shit. And the worst thing is like with the game with the Springboks is, by the time you realize, oh, they're going wide, it's clearly answer with a 1v1, and then anything could happen. I don't care.
He double left footsteps you.
Yeah, anything can happen from there. But anyway, but I do think that it's the accuracy they got to work on. There's a few little knock-ons, and obviously the Boks are incredible spoilers, as my dishwasher agrees with me. The Springboks are incredible spoilers, and they do that well. But I think Ireland will be frustrated in terms of just the accuracy in the 22, the accuracy sort of nearing in, where they'll put together some good phases, then there'll be a knock on here and there, or there'll be someone overrunning a line. There's a lot of that on the weekend, and I thought also sometimes a lot of overplaying, looking for that tip on quite quickly. So there's times I think this with James Ryan, they're just actually bang going forward, just trying to keep the momentum. So because I like you said, I do think it was a game of fine margins last week where when it was 27-13. The penalty try, I'm like, oh, the score doesn't actually suit that doesn't show how close the game was. And obviously then Ryan Baird goes and scores in the corner. And I think also there's a few Jack Crowley missed kicks as well, costly ones that they will speak about. But I do think that Ireland are almost unlike you, Shockey. I won't be surprised to see more of the same because they've seen their game plan work. They've had the run with the green against Springboks for the last couple of years. So it's not like they're gonna go, oh shit, man, this doesn't work. So we need to tear down the house and let's start again. And again, they've won 39 of the last 49 tests, so there's no need to burn the house down. But as the game goes, before you wrap up, Sharky, if you from the Springboks and Ireland, I think the bench has gotten closer. The bench battle is going to be tighter. With an Omani going on the bench, and Ryan Baird, I think obviously the hard one is for Ireland is a Blade is there. I think that's probably where the Bok bench will be like sneaks in. And then obviously we know the Steenkamp, Koch, Marks versus the Herring, Beelum, and Healy. That is massive because those are the three that got absolutely decimated. I mean, barring Rob Herring, they got decimated by Steenkamp, Marks, and Koch.
Yeah, and thanks for correcting me. Yeah, it wasn't 20-all when we got the penalty try. I was so confused there for a second. But what has Cooney done to Andy Farrell? That's all I want to know. So there's a kicking option. He's on form, just saying. The bench is going to be interesting. I think also I quite like Kieran Frawley. I know we spoke about it during the UFC where I was like, guy's got to play 10. Like I quite like him. He's got a little bit more. He's got the 10 and the 15 option in him, can play 12. So I think he's such a great guy on the bench, but he's deceptively can change a game. Like I think I don't think people really see that too much in him, like South Africans. I think he can. And I love Stuart McCloskey. Like he's a big guy. He's a massive human, big, hard runner. Just, the bench is going to be fun. I really do think, though, and it's no secret to anyone, but at scrum time, I think it's about us kind of just breaking them down a little bit in the first half and striking when we can, but then making sure that they, in a perfect world for us, we force them to change their props early, or we bring ours on at halftime and then they've got 20 minutes and 20 minutes, 20 with old, 20 with new props. That's really where the focus has got to be. And that's probably Farrell's biggest worry, is that he's worried about scrum time and what could happen. Like, does Porter have it in him because he picked up a knock? Like, does he have it in him to go? Now, with the changes of what's happening at scrum time, with the dark arts being brought to light, I mean, there must be some front rankers code there that you can't tell the referee about it. You've got to deal with it. But it's been done. There's a lot going to happen. But I think we'll probably see a more interesting battle at scrum time this weekend than we will with flinging the ball around.
Yeah, me too. I think obviously Ireland it's going to be a big concern for them, what happened to him off the bench. But I think, for me, it's just that Ryan Baird and Omani on the bench is such a game changer. I mean, that's massive, especially Omani. That's experience, someone who closes the game out. Maybe a calm, cool head to have if the game does get very, very tight. But then lastly, Sharky, the thing you hate to do the most before we wrap, we've got to do predictions. We've got to have a look at predictions and make a call. So Sharky, thank goodness I'm driving the show today, so I can go last.
So you're breaking up there? No, I'm just
kidding. Who's winning this weekend?
Can we talk about something else? Like, I don't want to lose this game because I don't want to level the series 1-1. I don't. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to lose the Rayburn Shield. Like, mostly, like, if we were going to lose it, let's lose the first one and get it back in the second one like that. I'm happy with that. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to say that Springboks are going to win it because,
this is probably this is incredible face fitting, by the way. This is
I'm hoping we'll run out of time. I think the Springboks will edge it, and it is going to be by less points than what we did this weekend. So it'll be like by 3 or 5 points. All I know is that there's going to be one thing that'll happen that'll win the game for either team. Like, it'll be one thing, like a try or a penalty. That's how tight we're going to be. The other option is we win by 20, and I'm happy. And then I'll just think what an idiot I was for not calling it louder. But I think it's a one moment to someone, and I have to pick the Boks to do it. So Boks by 3.
Oh, that's close. That's funny. I was playing golf today, and then a mate of mine asked me, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm feeling like if there's ever a game as the sun is attacking me, if there's ever a game we're going to win quite comfortably, is could be this one." But now I'm like, oh. Then the team came out. I was actually driving back from golf, and I was like, started thinking, I'm like, oh no, I don't know. Like, I think the box win. I think box. I think it's about around 5 points. I think we will sharpen up a few areas that and Ireland will as well. But I think obviously also being at home as well. I think it's massive for us. We are good at home, but I know Durban is not a
They
great
haven't
place.
had a win in forever.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that's gonna end somehow. Jeepers, man, stop sending up big tests to Durban. If you win this, if you lose this game,
no, they're sending it there so the crowd can have a win for this season.
yeah, oh
Just
yeah.
one. The last one was at Twickenham.
If we lose this game, then fucking hell, man, these no more test matches in Durban. Let's be like Georgia or someone, like not like Ireland or like the All Blacks. So I mean, the last All Blacks went they put 50 on us. So anyway, okay, let me not even think that. Let me not even think that. Think dark stuff now. Yeah, I think the Boks win by 5. I think again, I think our scrum in the second half will make a massive difference. I think we'll be able to.
Yes.
It's just such a. I feel like we've got such a cheat code in not Ox, but our bench as well in terms of like we've got a scrum that can bail us out of trouble. If push comes to shove,
Yes.
if we need to league, get points, stop momentum, we have a scrum that can just get us out of a trouble. And that is such a game changer. We saw it against England. And last week as well, we were able to create. There was a penalty we won when we were under the pump. So I do think that under the pump, obviously we had the amazing penalty trap. But so I think that our scrum will be up. Our bench will make a massive difference, especially the scrum. That cheat code we have, and then yeah, I think the Boks win by 5.
Love it.
Should be a good game. But anyway, Sharky, thank you so much. And thank you guys. I mean, that was the Rugby Bits preview for the second test between the Springboks versus Ireland. And please make sure you like, subscribe, watch our YouTube channel. Make sure you listen to us on all podcast platforms. We will be there and we'll be back on Monday with another review of some fantastic international rugby. Cheers, guys.